No offside.
All right, buttons. Welcome back to another episode of No Offsides podcast. I'm Dan Dean, and I've been on the quest to talk to as many uniform and apparel companies as possible in the month of October. It's been my goal to share their story and share what their company can offer to you and other people in the roller community and even beyond. Today's guest sponsors one of the giants in pro roller world, Black Ice. They also are the uniform supplier for the San Diego Elite Draft League. He's been around putting in the work for over 10 years. I want to welcome from Unify Gamewear, Stephen Campbell. How are you, my man?
What's going on, man? I appreciate you having me on. Thank you. I know it's been a little tough to get going here, but as always, we get through it, and I'm happy to be here. So thanks again.
Listen, I'm glad to have you. I'm glad to have, a brand that's been around for so long to be able to talk with you, talk Unify, let the viewers kind of hear from you personally and kind of like hear your story of inception up until today. So thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm happy to get started here and, answer any questions you might have or just kind of go over the story, whatever it is. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like, obviously you design from start to finish, and obviously you don't obviously sew all the jerseys by hand, right? Like, what is your background going into like designing and creating this company?
Well, to be fair, I did not go to school for any of this. It was always a passion or hobby of mine to get into this industry. And yeah, I basically was working another job, and it was like, I would go home from that job and just start teaching myself the program. And, it started small with business cards and t-shirts for friends' companies and, all of that. And, kind of progressed into getting some opportunities to design jerseys for other teams or sometimes other companies were even reaching out to me just asking if I wanted to throw something together for them, and it just kept snowballing into what is now Unify. And it's been one crazy ride. I've been doing this now for about 20 years, from start to finish, and I haven't looked back. I can't see myself doing anything else. This company isn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon. A lot of jersey companies come and go, as I'm sure most of the world knows. It's not an easy industry to get into. Tons of competition, competitive pricing everywhere. It's hard to separate yourself from other companies.
Sure.
And I think just being in the industry so long and seeing how it evolves and where it's going is important. And, being in it so long has really helped. So that's kind of where it's all started. And now I'm full-time, obviously. Been full-time for a long time. And so, yeah, that's where we're at.
Now, I was able to catch like something that was posted with you in it, and you talked about at 10 years, you were surprised to still have the drive to design things. I mean, what does drive you in creating these jerseys and creating other apparel? What is your drive?
Yeah. It was a post I do kind of vaguely remember, just because, there's only so much you could do almost for a jersey design. And especially when you're in the custom world, it's not always easy. And, going through that process with the customer back and forth and showing them something that they had in mind or what they wanted. And then, watching that process come to life to where they have a jersey that they're wearing in the game and how excited they are and how many emails I get, how pumped they are to have the finished product and how easy the process was. And it just kind of motivates me just to keep going, and keep doing it. It's just such a cool feeling, creating something with a customer that's new and different. And no matter how many times it takes, sometimes it's one time and we nail it on the first shot. Other times we get a little bit more tricky of a client, as I'm sure you know. And it takes a little bit longer, but in the end, it's always worth it, you know? So um, it's just so much fun to sit down and create a hockey uniform. I could think of a lot worse things to do on a daily basis. So even when you get those tricky customers and stuff like that, you just work through it, and you get them what they want. And at the end of the day, it pays off. So
Yeah. Do you enjoy kind of like the harder designs, like push your limits a little bit of like creating something that maybe you haven't created before, or like there's more like it's more, let's just go with the word loud, right? And so like now
yeah.
it's like a splash canvas that they want, and you're like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah, sometimes it gets tricky, obviously, with some of the requests I get. Sometimes it's challenging in a good way to where I can't wait to do it. And other times I want to run my head through a wall, and it's not always easy. A lot of the times it does come to me easily. I don't know why or how. It's just how I was wired, I guess. Hold on, my phone is constantly going off. But, probably some customer needing something right now, but no, it's I do like a challenge. It's always been the kind of person I am. As a player, I was always the grinder. I always was the guy doing the dirty work. It's just kind of how I've been as a person, and so I guess I just enjoy the challenge. Luckily, that not everyone wants that wild and crazy, design. So it doesn't, overtake my work, like my workflow. If that was the case, it would be really challenging because the designs do take some time to make, and so the trickier the request, the more time it's going to take. And when you do a tricky design and you send it to them, how I like it, now I hope they'll like it. It's not always the case, and they might not like what I send them, and so all that was just a waste almost. And that's when it can really hurt, or sting. But I'll save some art. Like if I ever do something and I spend a lot of time on it, and the customer politely declines or goes another route or whatever, I always save that as an unused file. Can always go back to it. It's like one man's trash is another man's treasure. So, that always does come around. There's been multiple times I'll remember I had something really cool that I thought was cool, and I think someone else will like, and I'll just save it, and I'll throw it on a different design when the time comes, and for the most part, it never does go to waste. So that's why it's no big deal if I've got someone tricky to work with, or we're trying to figure out and nail the design. That's kind of how it all flows together. So
Yeah, and I could say, I mean, I love a lot of your work. Like, just talking about kind of like the San Diego Elite Draft League, the panda jerseys or the bamboo jerseys.
yeah.
Fucking love them.
Well, I appreciate that a lot.
The black ice jerseys here, kind of going retro.
Yeah.
Great move. Love it.
Yeah, so that was actually an idea on their end this year.
Okay.
Usually Tyler Craft and I will sit down early in the year and start going over concepts and ideas. And this year they said, he came to me and said, what, this year we kind of been talking, we want to go to like a more of a theme style concept versus, just something obnoxious and loud and, the whole crazy Unify style that is, I guess you could say. And so we kind of worked together on that. He had a friend that was kind of doing some artwork, and I still to this day don't know really who it was that helped him. So we kind of collaborated on that concept. That's how we came up with that, that throwback NHL kind of style, cross with black ice, mountain theme, whatever concept. And yeah, I think it turned out really well. It's clean. It's just a little bit different, but it was good. Yeah, we got a lot of good feedback on it. So it's always fun. That's always a project I look forward to doing every year. Obviously, it's gonna have the most eyes on that uniform because they're playing in all the top, tournaments in the highest division possible, winning, big tournaments like State Wars last year. So there's always going to be a ton of focus on those uniforms. And I realize that, and that's a huge marketing opportunity. So I always do put probably the most time I can into that uniform. But it's always a fun project, so.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, looking at you brought them from just the purple and black to bringing in the yellow and blue in the
Yeah.
one set of jerseys, and that was like when those came out, it was kind of like a whoa, like we got a big switch up here with black ice, but it worked. It was great. I mean,
yeah. So
those are
that was a colorway they used, in previous years, way back when. So it's kind of like a tribute to those colors when they wore them, when we came up with that idea. And again, it's always just going back and forth with the boys on the team. I always want to make sure they're on board and they like it, and Coach Jay is on board because, he's the backbone of that whole program.
Yeah.
So, it's just like working with another team. It's just working with another team. Working with Black Ice is the same thing as working with, the random adult league team at our local ice rink or roller rink. Or it's the same process. And like I said, I do put obviously a little bit more time into their uniforms just because it's such a well-respected team and blah blah blah, and that all the vision that's going on those. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And same thing with the elite league. I didn't mean to get distracted there, but
No, you're good.
doing the draft league in San Diego. Josh is doing a great job down there. And those draft leagues seem to be popping up. They seem to be doing well. I know there's several of them now going on around the U.S. and I think it's starting to pick up steam. That's a fun little option to do, on a random night. And it's really cool. I love getting those big projects too, where it's a multiple team event and they kind of have a theme. And so, I've done like superhero tournaments where, everyone's got a different superhero themed jersey, or a Christmas tournament, where everyone's got a different Christmas themed jersey. And I love those kind of things because you can have a lot of fun with them creatively. And that's just what we do here. Just all the crazy custom concepts you could think of. And we can do it. So
yeah, I mean, and you put them on anything you want. I mean, look at the hoodie, right, that you're wearing. I mean,
yeah, just exactly right. Yeah, I just throw stuff on the wall and see if it sticks. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and the evolution of the brand and seeing where it's going and where it's at and where it's going. It's it doesn't seem real, but it's such a passion and a hobby of mine that, like I said, I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon at all. It's all I know how to do, I feel like. So
you've been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah, it was that and play hockey, and I'm too fat and old to play hockey now these days. So now I just sit down at an office desk all day and color. So
there you go.
It's been a nice transition.
So looking at the Unify and Black Ice, where does the relationship start with getting in like the partnership between Unify and Black Ice?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if when I was younger, I was playing in the same pro divisions. I played for Team Mission for 10 years back when Mission had a pro team. Team USA, IHF, Fears, AU, all of the stuff I was a part of. And with that, I got to meet some unreal players, got to become friends with those players. One obviously being Tyler Kraft has been a good friend of mine. Those guys were always the young guys as I was kind of fading out of the division. They were like the young, rats running around like flying, and we couldn't keep up with them anymore. And that's when I kind of faded out. And but anyways, we got to know them, off the ice or whatever. And John Chavo and all those guys that were around, they've been in the sport for a long time too. And so I knew them already. And when they found out I was doing my own thing, it was around the same time Mission was kind of fading out of the sport, or whatever you want to call them now, because they're obviously nowhere near where they once were in the sport.
Yeah, they're just now.
Yeah, exactly. And so, Black Ice was looking for that company to come in and fill in because they were doing all their uniform designs and orders and stuff like that. And they came to me and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. Obviously, I had to jump all over it. I mean, it was such a big opportunity for the brand, for me to get involved with them, and so right, it just worked right away, and it's been pretty easy process. We just whatever they need, we just get on it for them right away. We do, their jerseys, their pants, the gloves, the shorts, backpacks, equipment bags, hats. I don't know. Just kind of try to do something every year, give them what they want and keep them happy. They do such a good job representing us, and all the guys are great on that team. So it's been fun, just following them and their journey as a team, and see where they're at now. As again, I've been watching them since they were playing against me like 20 years ago. So it's fun to see them in their process of their team and where they're at. And they're starting to face some challenges too as they get older as a team. That they have guys with full-time jobs and they're not kids anymore. Just running around doing what they want. So, it's a good thing. It's been great so far. So.
I mean, at this point, you should be like, hey, like if I'm going to continue sponsoring, like you guys are going to wear Unify Gamewear, suit and ties to the rink, and this way you just keep branching out. You just keep making them wear stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I just shove it down their throats until they don't have anything else to wear. So, no, it's just every year we try to focus on a theme, what they want to do. Once we get something they like, then we just kind of branch out and we start just making, all the different things that we offer. I'll throw in some random stuff and, get them some fresh new stuff to wear, and it goes with the new theme every year. And that was like the big thing that I get it from is, when I played on Mission, every year it was just the most wild stuff they would come out with. There was the Argyle sweater year, the one thing that sticks out to me, but just always had something different and crazy. And then with that came all the fresh new, outfits to wear out of the rink. And it was just always like such a cool experience as a player to get to wear some stuff that no one else has or that is about to launch. And then, just look the same as a team off the rink too. It's just like such a cool feeling. So, that was kind of where I've gotten those ideas from. It's just from being a part of it myself, throughout the years. So just trying to take that and keep it going in my own unique way, I guess you could say.
Cool. I mean, so looking at the brand of Unify, right? Is there a reason why you named it Unify Gamewear? Well, let's just Unify Gamewear, right? Where does the name originate from?
Well, probably, what was it now, 7-8 years ago, I have this, it's a time of my life where I'm working for just about everyone in the industry. You can name it, pretty much. I did uniforms for them, whether it was known or not. I was always working under the radar for them because they needed someone who could do jerseys, and they would just pay me under the table or whatever it was, not under the table, but pay me, to do this stuff for them. And I was starting to realize that I had my own group of customers that were kind of just finding out well, are you still working with them? And I was like, yeah. And then, so they would just follow wherever I was going. I had this little following of teams that like working with me, which gave me the idea to, let's get this thing going, start my own brand. And so it just, just like anything, it's just day after day, night after night, I would just come up in my own head when I didn't have anything going on. I would just sit and think about like business names. I couldn't tell you all the names I came up with because that paper's gone now, but I was just writing down names, and then I don't know if it was like a Shopify and Spotify and all those kind of things were kind of crossing my mind, and then I figured, what about Unify? Because it was uniform and unify, and like so that's kind of, I think, the where it kind of started. And I kind of obviously didn't want to jump on it right away because it's a business name. It's got to be something that can last forever or whatever, so I think I let it kind of sit for a while, and it just kind of stuck. And then designing the logo process started, and It just kind of goes, it just kind of ran itself into where it is now. I don't know. It's just how things went. And yeah, I couldn't be more happier. I mean, everything seems to be going good. The gameware part was just like, okay, what is it? What comes after Unify? It can't really just be Unify. You got to identify what the business is. So it was between like sportswear or gameware, and it just kind of rolled off the tongue. I think a little better to call it gameware, but it is what it is. That's just where it fell into. So
which I mean, you're doing stuff not only for hockey, right? So you're doing for other sports too. So
yeah,
gameware.
It's obviously mostly hockey, but yeah, we've done quite a few softball teams, baseball teams, soccer. Done a few basketball teams, but not really many. It's mostly obviously just hockey, but you'll get that one person who plays on a hockey team and they also play on a softball team, and they want to know if, hey, you did our hockey jerseys, can you do softball jerseys too? And then I'll get that business too that way. So that's been the thing. It's been, the growth of Unify has just been purely through word of mouth, with a little bit of marketing, but not much. The way I've always seen it is I try to do my best job. I try to get back to clients as fast as I can, get them designs as quickly as possible, turn around the order as quick as I can, get it in their hands, and just have a great experience working with us. And I've noticed that's just all you need to do to grow your company in this industry. Because as long as those teams are happy, well, there's 20 players on that team, and that's 20 players that probably play on a different team, and it just spider webs out, and the growth is pretty natural if you do a good job. Nice. So, yeah.
So, looking at Unify and looking at the materials you use, I mean, what is the process of going in and working with these? What's the word I want to look for?
Suppliers,
and factories,
sure.
Right? And so, like, how do you tell what's the process you had to go through to like hammering down like materials and like knits and stuff like that?
There's a million factories out there, and I'm sure the bigger your account gets on social media, I think you'll start to see it, because there's a lot of people running around spam messaging, to get your jerseys done, or and you'll find every now and then a good supplier, but it took a lot of work. There's a lot of suppliers out there that will say they make jerseys or they do this, and they don't really make them. They can, but with that being said, you don't know the sizing that you're going to get. So the sizing of the jersey is huge. Every factory has different sizes. That's been pretty challenging also, just because it's hard to nail down sizing. You have some people that are really tall and skinny. You have some people that are really tall and heavier. You have shorter people, people with long arms. So it's constantly a challenge sometimes to nail sizing down. Going to a random factory, you really don't know what you're going to get. They could run just way too short. The arms could be too long. The arms could be super baggy, like trash bag arms. There's a lot of challenges that come with finding a factory or going with a new supplier, or whatever. Fabrics are pretty easy once or have an idea of what you want. There's specific weights that go with the different types of fabrics. So if you know what kind of fabric you like, it's specifically a type of weight or GSM that you use, and all the factories know what that is when you tell them that weight. There are different kinds, and typically what I do when I had a new factory was just have them send me a big swatch of all their fabrics, and I just would go through them all and find the ones that I thought was good. Again, being a player that played roller my whole life, I understand what fabrics are good for roller, and what's needed. And it hasn't really changed. It's always been, a lightweight, breathable polyester mesh that can be worn in hot environments, so there's that. And then there's also, the dazzle that everyone uses as well. It's that silky, shiny kind of textured fabric that doesn't breathe as well, but it does look really nice. It's interesting about that fabric is And I never really liked it as a player, but it always looked the best. And so and I always was kind of forced to wear it when I played for Mission. It's not like I couldn't or had a say in that. It was always up to the Mission and what they did. When it gets wet, it actually does have like a cool feeling to it. Which is weird, but it's still just like it just sticks. Yeah. And so, but if you're out there skating around, that fabric has like it gets cold when it gets wet, and so it's a very I don't prefer it, but other teams and many teams, trust me, do like it. It is one of those things. I specifically made sure like our Dazzle fabric is very lightweight. We originally were using a pretty heavyweight fabric, and then we changed it once I found out that one was available to a much lighter weight version of that Dazzle. Again, it doesn't really have the breathability there, but at least it's so lightweight that it doesn't feel like you're wearing like a sweater when it gets wet, because of how heavy it gets. So, so we really do we have 3 fabrics. I mean, 2 are for roller. The 2 that I just went over basically are lightweight. I call it a Stratus fabric. We named it after a cloud. And so just lightweight, breathable, stuff like that. And then our Dazzle that we have as well. And then ice hockey, we have just a bit heavier version of our Stratus fabric that we use. And it's pretty much our traditional one jersey fabric for ice hockey. Because it is just not many ice hockey teams want to go any other way than just such traditional, heavier, stretchy mesh fabric stuff. But yeah, so
when you're looking at like fits for jerseys, right? Are you physically going to these factories or are you having them mail you their fits and then trying them on and like seeing for yourself of like, would I wear this?
Yeah, so no, I'll have them send me a big swatch of fabrics cut out, and that way I don't have to go there. It saves me all the time, the traveling, stuff like that. It's a way less of a headache. They just cut out some swatches. They'll send it to me, and I'll pick those out and tell them which fabrics I want wear for the collar, stuff like that. I'll also get Pantone books. This is the fun part of the job, is all the colors. So as you can see, if you want the color orange, it's not as easy as you guys think, okay? So I've got a ton of different color oranges to go through, and this isn't all of them either. This is just a generic spot. Oh, there's some more oranges.
There you go.
So colors are a nightmare. I don't know if we're planning on going there, but we're going there now anyway.
Hey.
Colors are a nightmare. Okay, there's so many things about colors that drive me nuts. When you're taking a picture of a jersey because you want us to make you pants to match, when you take a picture of your jersey and send it to me, depending on the lighting in the room that you're using, it'll change that color of your jersey. So now I'm looking at the color of your picture, which isn't the color of your jersey, and so now I have to try and figure out what color your jersey is without looking at your jersey. It's a complete nightmare. Fabrics, colors print differently on different fabrics. So if I like how this Pantone book is, it's on a certain fabric. Well, if I print it on Dazzle, it might print a little bit different, just a little bit, but not, it's just a never ending problem. So I have the gray, I bleached my hair now to avoid the gray hairs that have been coming in left and right over colors alone. So it sucks, but it is the nature of the business. I just always want people to know that, if we're trying to match something or whatever, the best thing you can do is send us a jersey or send us a pant if you want us to make your jersey, or if you like a certain color, send us your t-shirt that you have that you like the red on or whatever that may be. That's the best way. I can try and nail it as close as I can. I still can't guarantee it. There's just some colors that are just almost impossible to match. They're really tricky. So as you can see, there's just a ton of different colors. They're broken down into numbers, basically, the color codes. And each number will change that color by just like a small percentage. So it's like, sometimes it's just like, you're trying to figure out this color code to match the color, and it's a ton of headache. But like I said, it is nice if we can get samples in of a color that you guys are trying to nail. That way we can match it to our charts, match it to previous jerseys we've done, try everything we can to get it as close as we can for you. Because yeah, like, and colors are just insane. It's not just colors of the rainbow. It's there's like a million different colors, literally. So yeah.
Oh, see, even I learned something because I did not know there was that many colors.
Oh yeah. No, so here's another. This is another book of colors, and this is a Pantone book. So you can see all the shades, and you're only seeing a handful of the pages of colors. The rest are hidden behind other pages, but
Yeah.
there are endless amounts of colors that can be used, which makes it very cool and unique, especially when creating custom uniforms. However, I made a mess. Getting colors matched is very, very hard to do. So just a heads up on anyone out there hearing that. You do have a bit of a challenge if you're looking to match some colors to previous jerseys, old jerseys, whatever it may be. It's better off just starting fresh and creating something from the start and getting it all done, in one shot.
Yeah,
So
just create an alternative set. It's not a big deal.
yeah. Let's just do all new jerseys, all new pants. We'll just dial you guys in right from the start.
So, over the years, talk about pants, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen many different styles from like super baggy to kind of like a straight fit, and now we're kind of in the taper stage of like roller hockey pants, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, do you see? Is this just a trend of Do you believe this is just a trend of generations for like styles, or do you think that do you see something
Um, I see this pant that it's funny because when we first started, I was looking to make a pant, and the company that I was working for at the time was Grasshopper Gamewear. It was a company that kind of came and went like many companies do. Just it is what it is, nature of the business. And they had like a tapered version pant model that I loved, and I would wear it, and I thought it was a great pant. And then there was some things I didn't like about it, and I wanted to change it up, so I added like the cuffed ankle, to make it kind of similar to an ice hockey sock fit, clean up the pant a little bit more. When you have those baggy pants and you tape them around, your ankle, or sorry, your calf muscle, it just flares out on the bottom. It just doesn't look clean. It's like got a bell bottom effect to it. All the stuff that comes with it. So I think adding that elastic ankle really cleaned up the pant, and it really made the teams look more sharp. In my opinion, I think it looks way better. So I don't know. As the sport continues to grow, I think it's the future of the pants for now. I can't tell you because trends come and go, and who knows? Sometimes trends come back, and some random pro team will wear the most ridiculous pants, and they'll win the tournament, and next thing you know, that's now the cool pant. And that's just what happens in the sport. So it is funny to see, like, there's other brands that are now making a pant very similar to ours. And I guess that's just nature of the business. So it is what it is, but that's I truly believe the pant model that we make is the future, and one of the best pants on the market. I love the fit of it. I love the look of it. The breathability on the back of the leg is great to have the bigger mesh. So if it's any way to keep it a cool ventilated pant, futuristic looking, and also just the way the pant is patterned to be able to create full custom designs on it.
Okay.
When you have a pant with a lot of I guess they're called patterns, but shape, like cuts of the pant, there's different lines going through it for ventilation, stuff like that. Yeah, it's probably a better performance pant. However, trying to create a custom design on that kind of a pant is really tough because the way when you create a design, it gets printed and then it gets sewn together. It's not sewn together and then they just run it through a printer and it prints on top of the pant as it's already been made. So the pieces of the pant are what's printed, and then it's all sewn together. And when you have a complicated pant design with all kinds of different, you know, panels in it and such like that, sewing it together is really tough to line it all up and make sure it looks right and stuff like that. And that's why you'll see some pants have, like, you know, over the panels where it's sewn together, it doesn't line up exactly how it should or whatnot. So that's another thing I always try to keep, like, you know, logos or any kind of important pieces of the design away from panels, seams, so that way when it's made, you know, everything's as clean as it can be, everything's as sharp as can be, and it looks almost identical to what you are expecting based off the design that we came up with together.
Okay. How much work goes into like the strength of the knee area?
I mean, it's tough, man. That's the one thing that roller hockey will be tough to crack, as brands, just because there's so much friction
Yeah.
made in the knee once you contact with something that's not slippery like ice, where you're just sliding and not, you're creating a very hot friction when you go down on, you know, on your knees on this and on the type of surface that roller hockey's played on. That's just on sport court
Mhm.
or any of those, you know, tiles that we now play on. You look at the other, some rinks have asphalt, you know, on the ground, like just straight concrete, you know, and
Yeah.
it's always going to rip. It's always going to tear. It's just, until some groundbreaking fabric comes out that can be flexible, you know, can be cut, sublimationable, stuff like that. It's really hard. So there is, you know, what we use is like a 1080 denier um, style fabric. It's a polyester. It's just, you're able to sublimate it. It's thick and durable. Yeah, it's just really the only fabric that we've found so far that works. It's lightweight. It's not like, you know, hard or anything like that. It works very similar to a polyester mesh. It's just thicker and stronger. And so that's kind of what we use to do that. We also kind of have it sewn in on the outside of the knees too, to give it a little bit of a bend and fit to a knee form. So it's not just a flat panel. If you look at our pants, like on the outsides and insides of our knee panel, there's little sew lines to bend the knee and get it to a knee formation already almost. So it does give a little bit of a formation to your knee, just to give it a little bit more fit formation to your leg, just to give it a bit better fit there.
Okay. So let's shift to Stephen Campbell, the player. Okay.
Okay.
So you've obviously had a, let's just call it a successful roller career, because I mean you're playing Pro Division, you're playing with Mission. I mean you were able to you know get sponsored by Mission, be able to get a bunch of gear, and as you said earlier, it's some unique gear. I mean the rockers were something of uniqueness.
Yeah.
You know, but like what? How do I want to say this? What was like a what's the daily life of Steven as a young kid, of like getting to where you got to and playing pro and roller? Like
Yeah.
how would you say you achieve that?
Um, well, I was at the rink every day, I feel like. My first job was at the rink, working at the pro shop out of the Corona rink. Actually, you know, my dad was a big part of the Corona rink being built. Actually, not a lot of people know that, but before the Corona rink was built, my dad started a street hockey league at our local elementary school. This was in Corona, California, at the elementary school just up the road from where the rink is now. Um, Had it there for like 2 years, and the growth became so big and fast. You know, hockey wasn't very much of anything out there at the time. This was like early 90s, mid 90s. And then it turned into the YMCA coming and taking over, or asking my dad to bring the league into the YMCA. They would put up hay barrels as boards. We used the ball. You know, it was very street hockey. It was we would have some of the. This was about the time the Bullfrogs were just coming into town,
Okay.
so they were doing some promotion. They would come and like skate with us as little kids. I think I was like in sixth grade at the time, maybe. So that was really cool. And then obviously just fell in love with the game, was playing it all the time in the street every day, it seemed like. got my first job. Then, anyways, after the YMCA, some guys came to my dad, talked about the growth of the league over the years. Said they open up a rink. Next thing you know, the rink is being built. So I got to be there for the beginning of the Corona rink being built, seeing it from before when it had these, giant pillars all over the buildings. And I'm like, as a 7-year-old trying to figure out how you're going to put a rink in here with all these big, pillars everywhere. Because I think it was like a grocery store-ish kind of place. I don't know if it was. I think it was more just for storage or something, but either way, it looked like a Costco inside. They just had these giant pillars everywhere. So they were able to get those out of there, I guess, and redo it and build the rink. And obviously, I'm more excited than ever to have a rink now, instead of just skating on, the asphalt with hay barrels. And I got a real rink now to skate at.
Oh, for sure.
So fast forward, I was able to get a job, at the rink, playing every day. I was always the short kid growing up. I was a late bloomer, so everybody was bigger than me when I was playing as a younger kid. But it didn't stop me from just trying to be like the best player or wanting to be my best as I could. And then all of a sudden I grew and it kind of turned into like who I am or who I was as a player. The next thing you know, I was bigger than everybody or as big as everybody and was able to use all like what I would build myself as a player when I was small. Now I'm big and now it like took over and I don't know, it just kind of all fell into pieces. I got asked to play on some teams, like men's platinum teams. Sorry, I got something in my ear. I had some I got asked to play on a men's platinum team for Narsh, and that was like the most highest level of play I've ever got asked to play on. Tyler Sabota was on that team.
Okay.
And at the time he was like a stud for the Armadillos. So it was like, this is, sick. I get to play with Tyler Sabota. He's such a good player, blah, blah, blah. And we would have these skates every Sunday to get ready for Norwich. And one time after we skated, he came up to me and he was like, hey, you want to play one-on-one? And we'll just play 3-bar posts. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I ended up beating him that day. And it was like eye awakening, I was like, holy crap, like no way this just happened, because I never thought I would be that, like I could hang at all.
Yeah.
And then about a week later I get a call and they're asking me to play on like the Mission Habs, which was basically the Dillos that converted to the Habs, which was like the next generation team that front with all the same guys. Well, for the most part, I think. But yeah, so that kind of evolved. Next thing you know, I get a call from Sean Riley. He's working at Mission at the time under Joe Cook. And, he's basically just dialing me in like, all right, so, here's the tournament we're playing in. Here's the schedule. What size gloves are you? What size pant are you? What size? And I'm like, I'm just losing my mind. I'm like, no way this is happening. It just kind of happened so fast. And yeah, next thing you know, I'm playing for the Habs at like a regional for Narch, and then it was kind of like a tryout, and I guess I did all right because they asked me to come back again, and then they asked me to play on their D1 team, and then eventually I think the next year I was on their pro team as a rookie, and the rest was history. I got to play with Mission for I don't know, man, it must have been 8 years or so, and then from there, Mission kind of was going through their like phasing out of their pro team, and I ended up moving over to Palma, played with Palma for 2 years, I believe it was. Had some good runs with them, and then Alkali came on board, and that's when Joe restarted his brand and ended up playing with Alkali for 3 or 4 years, and also had a good run with them. But yeah, it's been amazing. I've got to do just about everything with the sport. I lived in Italy for a year. I played in the Italian Pro League. Got to travel all over Europe. Yeah, we won the Italian Cup there. We made it to the Euro Cup and we lost in the semifinal. But such a cool experience over there too, which I highly advise if any one of you kids out there get a chance to go to do it. You won't regret it, and if you do, you can always come home. So it's like I do advise to take that opportunity. It was definitely one of the best moments of my life to go over there and play in another country for for roller hockey. I mean, it was just like a dream come true. Got to travel all over the place, man. Team USA, IHF, Sweden, Germany, Fears. We were with Colombia for the World Games. Been all over the place. So
Nice.
roller hockey is definitely, there's no pro league where you can make millions like you see these ice hockey guys doing. But there's so much opportunity out there to do something other than that. If you stay with it and you're passionate about the sport, there is some stuff that you can do that will get you further than most ice hockey players would go. So, I would definitely recommend to stay with it if you love the game and you feel doubtful about it because there is no pro NHL to go to. There's still a ton of other opportunities that you can do in this sport that will make it worth your while and have a story to tell for the rest of your life. So
love it. And also, if they wear Unify, it's like +5 to all their stats.
You guaranteed to score a goal or two. Yeah. I just can't say the same about losing a pound or two, but it's so yeah.
Man, that's all. I mean, as I said, I tried doing a deep dive into it, and I found nothing of that. So I'm like, that's awesome. I love this story.
Oh wow, yeah. I've got a good picture over here. Actually, this. So here's I'll just bring this one over, but this is the plaque of fame.
Nice.
So this was Team USA, IHF 2010. This is the team in Sweden we won gold with on the 4th of July against Czech.
Nice.
You could see a lot of familiar faces on this team: Jerry Osterkamp, Troy Redmond, Pat Maroon, a handful of other guys,
Nice.
Nathan Sigmund. We were stacked. This team was unbelievable. Probably best team I ever played on. Everyone was just in their primes, and we were just cruising through that tournament. It was the best in the world, and we were just like, we only had one challenging game. It was in the final, and yeah, it was just a fun time, man. I'm out of breath.
Has Redmond has he left his prime?
No, he that guy is insane, man. I like every time he posts like a picture of him winning the tournament that he's currently at, I'm just like, when's it gonna stop, man? This is insane. The guy just wins. He's a hell of a goalie, competitive more than anybody I've ever played with. He was born to win games. So I was lucky enough to play on that team with him and a couple others. So it's just been a fun ride, sharing some of the rink with him as we age out here. But it's been good, man. There's just been so many memories and so many good times and playing with so many good players. And just wouldn't take it for anything else. It's just it's why I'm still in this sport, man. I will forever give back to roller hockey for what it's given me. And so, I will always be in the sport. I will always be designing custom uniforms for all of you guys out there. It's a passion of mine that I will always have. So,
and I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm happy to have you on because I'm sure the viewers are gonna love your story. Is there anyone before we go that you want to shout out? Give a shout out to.
Oh man, there's a million people I could probably say right now, but I'll give my shout out to my boy Joey D, not Joey D Martino, but Joey Doran. I love that guy to death. He's like a brother of mine. We got to play in Italy together a long time ago. He's one of my best friends, and hopefully we'll get to see him back on the roller rink here soon. I heard he's skating again, so it'll be good to see that guy rolling around again. He brings a lot of smiles to the rink when he's around. So shout out Joey Doran.
There you go. And so make sure you hit the subscribe button. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I always go back and read them and like them or comment on them. Remember in roller hockey, if you're forechecking, don't let up because there's no offsides. I'm Dan Dean. Steven, hey man, I appreciate you joining me. Loved listening to you. Hopefully we talk again, or maybe I'll meet you in person.
That sounds good, man. Hey, it was an honor to be on your show here, and thanks.